What's up YouTube? Omar Garza here. This week, I messed up. So the day started out great. I had a plan, I had help, and I had an epic location. The only problem was that epic location was up a huge mountain. What's going on, guys? This week we are scaling a mountain. And when I say scaling a mountain, it's a really low mountain. It's almost a hill, but I'm just terribly out of shape. Good night. We've got the Blackmagic Pocket 6K with us on the Crane 2. It's a little setup that we like to run, but I'm actually using the Tokina 16 to 11. There's a lot of ways that I could have done this better, but the point is I packed up a ton of gear. Parker helped me carry all this gear up the mountain. I planned on switching between 3 different lenses for this entire shoot, and I switched lenses at the last few seconds. For the most part, I stuck with one lens the entire time. I was so out of breath, so out of shape that I stopped thinking. I was not thinking. This did not work out how I wanted at all. So instead of talking about 3 lenses, I'm going to talk about one lens. The one that stayed on my camera almost the entire time, the Tokina 11 to 16 millimeter 2.8 constant aperture lens. So let's talk about some pros and cons of this lens. I'm going to start with the cons. The biggest con I feel like with this lens is the barrel distortion. So when you're at 11 millimeters, you are definitely going to see some warping around the edges. And if you're not used to keeping your subject in the center of the frame, or maybe that's not your style, or maybe just keeping your subject in the center of the frame doesn't fit your scene, then maybe this lens is not the best fit for you. But if you are like a big fan of Wes Anderson, or you just like to shoot center, or it doesn't really bother you, then maybe you won't notice it. Maybe it won't be a big deal to you. It's not a big deal to me. I think this lens is amazing. But that barrel distortion really doesn't go away until you are all the way boosted into 16 millimeters. So if that's a make it or break it thing for you, now you know. The only other con with this lens is the fact that you do get a little bit of flaring. You gotta keep in mind that this lens was made in 2008, so the coatings are not the exact same as they are now. I'm sure you can see in the videos that we're doing that there's a little bit of flaring. That's part of our style. I feel like it's kind of something that we've incorporated into a lot of our films, a lot of our videos, so people kind of expect it from us. But if you are going for the sharpest look possible with the newest coating, reducing that flare, then that's something to think about. A couple of really cool things about this lens, besides the fact that it was made in 2008, over a decade ago, is the fact that you could pull this little lever and make it a full manual lens. There's no electronics happening here. I'm just moving the glass with this dial, which makes for some consistent focus throws, something that you're really going to want, especially if you have a camera that doesn't have dual pixel autofocus or some other kind of really good autofocusing system. Another really good benefit of this lens, besides the fact that it's EF, so it's going to mount on all of your EF Super 35 cameras. It's not a full frame lens. It is really, really affordable. This thing comes in at about $379 brand new. So that's one really, really cool thing about it, the fact that it's so affordable. Most wide angle lenses that I've found, I've come from using some Micro Four Thirds lenses that are the wide angle lenses that they have, like the Olympus lenses. They are a little bit bowed out with their glass, and oftentimes you can't put an ND filter on them. That's not the case with this lens. This lens, you can put an ND filter on it. It's a 77 millimeter filter thread, so most of your ND filter, like the variable NDs from Tiffin and Polar Pro, are gonna fit on this lens, no problem. In any case, when people think of high quality glass, most people think of the Sigma 18-35 as their go-to lens. All I'm saying is that what goes well with the 18-35? For us, the Tokina 11-16 is like the companion lens for this, for the 18-35. But what about you guys? What's in your bag? What is keeping your Sigma 18-35 company? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next week.